Hello there, everybody. We are going to play with some red paint today and create some really pretty pinks. Um, Before we get started, I'm going to text all of my subscribers. If you want to get a text message before I go live or just to keep updated with things that are going on, then you can text me at this number here and I will send you a little text before I am going live every time. Okay, let me get my screen set up so I can see your comments. And you guys let me know if you can hear me okay. Okay. It looks like everything is working. Okay, so everybody is coming on now. I'm seeing you guys come in. Hang on. I still can't see your comments. All right, I see you there, Leanne. Okay, good. This was the painting that I originally kind of showed you when I was advertising for this. Hi, Karen, for this little tutorial. And this is a pink color that I just kind of mixed up myself recently. And it was one that a lot of people had a good reaction to. A lot of the members of my creative community were asking me what color this pink is because it's sort of a coral peachy pink. So I thought it would be a good idea to just give you some samples of colors and just let you know that there are some variations even in colors according to brand. So I've got some different reds that are, it's supposed to be the same red, but it's in two different brand names, and sometimes they're going to be a little bit different. So depending on what brand paint you're using, your colors sometimes may be a little bit different than what your teacher may be showing you. So let's just do a few little samples first, and then we're going to paint a little pink flower, peachy pink flower. So I'm going to start with alizarin crimson. So there are lots of different reds, lots of different pinks. Alizarin crimson and cadmium red are two probably popular, well-known colors. So this one is from the Artist Loft brand, which is Michael's brand, and this one is Charvin. And if you can already see, just here on my palette, they look different already. So the Charvin alizarin crimson, when you add some white to it, it really just looks purple. But alizarin crimson does lean toward the purpley side. So this one was Charvin, and then this one is Artist Loft, which still has a little bit of a purple tint to it, but it is a little more pink than purple. So I'm just showing you this because sometimes people get frustrated with their paint, and it's not your fault. It's just the fact that different brands may have a different color when mixed with white, or these are not even mixed. Here, let me show you. Before I added the white to it, this one is alizarin crimson in the Charvin brand. It really just looks like a deep purple. And I'm going to get a paper towel. You've got to kind of get your paint out and play with it and get familiar with it, this one was the Artist Loft. And see, that one really does look more red. So I wanted to show you that first of all. And hi everybody. I'm glad you're here. I wanted to show you that first because I think a lot of times there is a little bit of confusion and people probably get a little bit frustrated, which is very understandable when it comes to paint colors. So let's do another one. This one is cadmium red, medium, in Charvin. Uh-oh. See if I can get some out. It's been a while since I used this one. There we go. Okay, and then cadmium red, medium, in Liquitex. Okay, so let's just put it straight. This one is Charvin. Let's mix a little white. And I'm not affiliated with these brands in any way. I don't have an agenda for this. I'm just showing you that sometimes paint colors differ from one company to another. Okay, so this one's Liquitex, same color. Add a little bit of white. Okay, so as you can see, there is a difference. The Charvin colors seem to lean a little more purple. And I mean, this was Artist Loft, this one was Liquitex, so you're just going to have to try the paint that you have, whatever it is, whatever brand you have, and just see what happens. So, back to what we were talking about originally, and mixing some of these pretty pink colors. I'm not a big fan of purple. So when I mix something that is pink, I want it to be a pretty pink that has no purpley hint to it. I bought this one. It's a light magenta. It leans more purple. I don't like it very much. Light portrait pink I do like, but it's a little bit flat. So I'll show you this one. It is a really pretty pastel pink. You can mix some white with it and really lighten it up. So I don't mind this one, but most of the time I don't buy a pre-mixed pink. I like to mix it myself. And this pink here, it is a little close to this light portrait pink, but the way that I achieved that color was, this is quinacridone red. This is one of my favorite reds right now. This is quinacridone red orange, which is a little warmer. It's got a little bit of an orangey hint to it. And then this one is burnt sienna, and it's really a brown, a reddish brown. I'm not sure that many people would call this red, but I found a fun mixture of these colors with some white and created this, I guess it's more like a coral color, I guess you could say. Let's see. Someone said I'm coming in and out, so I apologize if that is the case. But I'm just going to keep going because I don't know if it's from my end or someone else's side of things. So we're just going to keep going here. Let me move up. Okay, so this color here. Let's take some of the quinacridone red orange. I'm just going to make a spot here on my paper. And then I'm going to take some white and a little bit of just the regular quinacridone red. And when I mix those together with a good bit of white and a little bit of burnt sienna, let's get a little more white. And it's sort of one of those things you have to do a little back and forth. Let me just give you a sample here. I think I need a little more of the orange. It turns into this pretty peachy pink that's somewhere in between all of these. It's not, it doesn't really look red, but it also doesn't look coral. And you can really lighten it up. Let me get some more white in there. And make it even more peachy pink. And I've also found that you can just keep the pink that's on your brush, and that helps you to mix another color. So that was just burnt sienna and the peachy pink color that I already had on my brush with some more white. And it helps it all to work together. Okay, so let's go back to here. I'm going to do something similar to this little flower right here for you. So I started with the dark center. Let's just get some burnt sienna and put that in there. And then work around. This pretty orangey pink. So I kind of flip back and forth, and I'll put in a little of the quinacridone red, which is going to be a pinky pink, if that's the word, pinky pink, and then move back to the orangey pink. All right, I'm going to wipe that off. Wipe my brush off some. And then grab pure white and get a much lighter color. Okay, and then in this one here, I've got some yellow ochre right there in the center. See if I can find my yellow. It's right here. So I just tap in a few little spots of that. And by mixing what some people would call a cool red and a warm red, which are these two quinacridone red orange. It's got the word orange in it, so you know that it's going to lean more on the warm side, and then the quinacridone red, which is more of a true red. It would lean cooler because it has a little bit more of a purpley undertone. And then that little bit of brown is basically what burnt sienna is. That gives you lots of depth in your flower because you're mixing different color temperatures. So we could also do something that's more on the peachy pink side by using yellow ochre and the quinacridone red. So let's mix those two with some white. And that's going to give us a peachy pink also. Okay, so I'm using these two reds, which is the quinacridone red, and then this peachy pink red that I mixed up using the yellow ochre, and I can create something. This is going to be a flower, of course. I can create something like this. So that color temperature is your best friend. That needs to be darker in there. Hang on. So when you're creating pinks and you're creating them from mixing them with white, just keep in mind that the pre-mixed pinks are going to lean one way or another. They may be more on the cool side, which may end up looking a little purple. And some of the paints that you have on hand that may be the same hue, they may turn out to be a totally different red or a totally different pink because of the brand. So like after this has dried here, you can see this one was I'm going to move this down a little. This one here is Liquitex Cadmium Red Medium Hue, Charvin Cadmium Red Medium Hue. But when you mix the white with it, you can tell a big difference. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but this one looks almost purple, where this one really does look pink. And so it really does make a difference when you're mixing your pink. Let me see if you guys have comments and questions. Let's see. Charvin is Charvin. It's a good paint company, but their reds to me, their reds lean toward purple. Kathy's asking, where can she buy these paints? This one, and this brand are going to be at Michael's. You can also order them online. You can go to Blick Art, BLICK, and order them there. Let's see. Any other questions? Melissa says, I have a hard time with heavy body paint. It is something you have to get used to. And it's not something that it's not something that is necessary, completely necessary when you're using a brush. But if you are using a palette knife, then you're going to need the heavy body for sure. And let's do a flower like this with the palette knife, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, let's see. Melissa's asking, do I add water to my heavy body? When I'm using a brush, my brush is a little bit wet, but I don't normally add a lot of water, no. Lynn says, how do you maintain color or adjust for paint drying? When you're using acrylics, you just kind of have to keep in mind that it's going to dry darker. It always will. And practice is really experience with it, and experience with a certain brand is what's going to help you to plan ahead. But a lot of times I don't have a clue what's really going to happen when I start putting down paint. I just experiment a lot. So like when I was painting these flowers here, I didn't think to myself, you know, how dark is this going to end up once it's dry? I just liked the paint color as I was mixing, and it just ended up drying a little bit darker than it was. Donna says she lives in the desert and acrylic paints dry so fast. You can spritz them with water. If you have like a little spray bottle like this, you can spray them with a little bit of water, and you can even cover it with some plastic wrap if you wanted to, if yours dries really fast. And yes, this will be safe to watch later, Lisa. Okay, so let's do a little flower like this with my round palette knife. And I'm gonna use some, I don't like that one. I'm gonna use some Liquitex red in the center. And then I'm gonna mix up some peachy red. So see, with this, it's gonna have to be thick enough that I can manipulate the paint and move it around. It's pretty much impossible to paint with a palette knife using paint that's really thin. You use a lot more paint when you do this also. So just keep that in mind. If palette knife painting is something that you are interested in, just know that you're going to need more paint, and it's going to need to be thick. It's been a while since I did this with the palette knife. And then maybe a few little spots in there. But if painting with a palette knife is something you're really interested in, I have a whole course on my website about that. And if you're a creative community member, you get access to that course in our membership area. Let's see. Let's see. Bobby says it's hard to tell the coral color. Is the vermilion red more like your coral? I don't usually use vermilion, but this red orange, I think, is what is really getting at that corally look. Because like this is pure, this is pink, and it leans a little bit purple. These here are very orangey pink, which is more like this color here. This one is not anywhere close to that. So I think that the vermilion probably does lean toward an orange, but I don't usually use that color. And Peggy says, yes, thick paint makes a huge difference. If you're wanting to paint with a palette knife, it definitely does. And I've been painting with a brush a lot lately. And sometimes it's fun to paint with a brush and then add some texture and detail with your palette knife. So let me show you this. This one here, I painted all of this with a brush to begin with, and then if you can see these little edges here and some of these swipes in here, I added those after the fact using my palette knife. This look is what I really enjoy. I mean, I do like this too, but something about those little edges that look like that really make me happy. So when I first started painting, I wanted to have this loose, abstract, impressionistic look, and I was having a lot of trouble getting that look. So what I ended up doing was moving to the knife, and when I did that, it kind of helped me to loosen up a lot. But this kind of work is very, very abstract and loose, where this is still abstract and loose, but at the same time there's enough structure in there that I feel it has the look that I wanted to get. So over time, what I've realized is I like the combination of both the brush and the knife. So this one would be brush only, this one would be knife only, and this one here would be a combination of the two, and that is the look that makes me happy right now. And it's totally up to you what you like best. You can make your flowers however you want to make them. This is art. There's no right or wrong. And this flower here is very much loose. I did that one with a brush. And neither one of these would be considered wrong, but it's just really up to you and what you like. But I thought this would be something that would be helpful to you if you're trying to mix pink and you're trying to get a certain kind of pink. It's a lot like the color green. Sometimes it can be frustrating. So just remember that your brand may be the problem if you're not getting the results that you're looking for, because the same color in a different brand may not turn out to be the same. That's what our little experiment here was about. And as it's drying, you can really see it now. I mean, these two colors look nothing alike. Can you see that? And this was Charvin Alizarin Crimson, and this was, what was it? Artist Loft Alizarin Crimson. So the cadmium reds are a little closer in color, but they're still not exact. So just keep that in mind. Mix a little bit of a purpley red in with a little bit of an orangey red to get more depth in your pink, and just play with your paint. That's the main thing. Just experiment with it, try things, mix things. You're going to make lots of mistakes and you're going to make lots of messes, but if you don't do that, then you're never going to learn, and it's going to depend on you trying the brand that you have to see what colors you can come up with. Okay, let me move back and see. Got any other questions? I'm glad that you found it helpful, Donna. And yeah, I like the shabby edges, Peggy. That's a good way to put it. Okay. So, Bonnie says, can I name all the reds again? I can. There are more reds than this out there. But the ones that I used here to create this peachy pink were quinacridone red orange, quinacridone red, and a little bit of burnt sienna. And then of course some titanium white to make it pink. But this is my secret combination here that I've been using. And it's not that I've figured out exactly the right ratio. You got to have 1% of this and 2% of that or anything like that. You just got to play with it. And you're not going to want it all to be exactly the same color anyway, because you want to have variation in value. A little bit darker, a little bit lighter, a little bit cooler, a little bit warmer, all in the same flower. Here, these colors were alizarin crimson, and these I mixed with a little bit of white. Cadmium red medium hue mixed with a little bit of white, and this was light portrait pink. And let's see. Okay, you are welcome, everyone. I hope that this helped. I hope you can see the difference there. And like I said, if you want to get text messages for when I'm going to be live, you can text me at this number here. And my creative community is open right now if you would like to join us and learn how to paint. I had someone who was a little bit upset because when I was painting on this painting yesterday on a live video, I was just painting for myself. I was putting in a little bit of the greenery with a palette knife, and she said this is not a tutorial, and basically this tutorial stinks. But that wasn't a tutorial. This painting, the flowers, the greenery, the white flowers, the pink flowers, from start to finish is in my membership. So if you're a creative community member, we learned this, but it had a blue background last week. And if you would like to learn how to paint the flowers here, then of course you can join and get that full tutorial. Okay, Joanne says, when are you going to do another free tutorial? I'm planning to do something every week here on my Facebook page. It may be just some tips on paint or something like that here, but a full painting tutorial, I save those types of things for my creative community members. So anytime you want to do that, of course, you're welcome to join. And right now in our library, there are over 200 different tutorials for you to choose from, and I add new things in there every Friday. So as far as a full painting tutorial for free, I don't know yet. I don't do those all the time. I haven't done live videos in a while, but I'm getting back in the swing of things. I've also got a YouTube channel where most of the time if I do a tutorial or do something like this, it gets put on my YouTube channel eventually. So you could head over there and take a look and see what is over there. Let's see. All right. Thanks, Peggy and Melissa. Y'all are very sweet. Hopefully this helps you with your pink. Helps you with your flowers. Let's see. Bobby says, can you mix some red, burnt sienna, and yellow ochre so we can see what color that produces? I'm getting a dark coral. Let's see. My red. Which red? Red, burnt sienna, and a dark coral. That may mean that you need to add some more white. So let's say we got some white. I know Bobby's in the creative community, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to try my quinacridone red. I'm going to do this real quick. And burnt sienna and yellow ochre. I'm almost out of this yellow ochre, but I just bought another tube, so it's fine. Okay. So we've got burnt sienna, quinacridone red, yellow ochre. So yeah, it's going to give you a dark, that's a really pretty color. I am glad you asked me to do that. That's a really pretty, deep, corally color. You can add a little more of the yellow ochre. Maybe a little more white in there and see what happens. Yep, that is a really pretty peachy pink. Okay. So hopefully, Bobby, that's what you're getting to, which is really pretty. If not, it may be the red that you're using. So if you're using the quinacridone red and the burnt sienna, yellow ochre, and white, that is beautiful. And it's very close to the deepest value in this one right here, which I really like. Okay, you guys, hopefully this was helpful. I'll see you guys next time. If you want to get an alert for next time I'll be live here on Facebook, just send me a text, and I will see you next time. Bye.